Hi everybody, this is a day trade recap. Today is January 12th. I worked with two stocks this morning. I think I'm done for the day. I started very early in pre-market. I was in here at my desk at like 4:45 my time this morning. I'm able to trade with my broker at 5 in the morning. So giving myself 15 minutes or so to kind of get in sync with everything and kind of get a feel for the general landscape of what's going on is a really good idea. Just give yourself 15 minutes before you even click a buy button. Anyway, there wasn't really anything. There was one stock that moved right at 5 o'clock, but it made its move like too fast for me. So I even though I had been watching it for a few minutes, I just couldn't do it. So I don't even remember which one it was, but anyway, at about 5:30, NXGL started to make a move, and I didn't see it initially. I missed a couple of the candles. It had started around the $3 range, and it went all the way up to $3.75 before I saw it, and it started to do a little pullback. That gave me some time to kind of go to my daily chart. Right now I'm on my minute chart, and I didn't have any of these lines on here. In fact, let me go ahead and take those off so you can see what I was looking at. This is just what I was... hold on. Okay, so I'll go to my 1 day chart. That's what it looked like. I didn't have these two arrows on here, but it was right here. Okay, and you know, who knows where it's going to go, right? Do you know where it's going to go? This is why I go to my 20-year 1 day chart to get a feel for where is this thing heading. Okay, and the way I do that is I'll look. Now this is a recent IPO. This is what a recent IPO chart will look like. You'll have this white candle, the initial candle when it opened on its launch day for public trading. And what I like to do is I'll go to the bottom of that candle, of the body, not the wick, but or the tail, but I'll go to the bottom, and usually the 200 EMA will be right there, that yellow line. And I'll just click right there, and then I'll look for a body low, which is this one right here, and I'll just click down there, and that puts the rest of these lines on here. And you'll see how helpful that is when I go to my minute chart, my 1 minute chart. So here we were, it was pulling back right here. It was pulling back, and this arrow is my entry. And I got in around $6 and what am I saying? $3.55. Okay. And I did that because I had this line up here, which I knew was a good target, and that was over $4. So I thought, well, it's looking a little overextended, but everything's still pointing up. Let me zoom out just a tad so you can kind of get a feel for it. So I had this was where I first saw it. I took some time to draw my lines, and I could see, hey, there's range, right? There's getting in at like 355. What am I saying? 355 all the way up to $4.07. That's a decent range, 50, 60 cents. So I did that, and I actually got a better fill. I got out on this candle right here at $4.16. So that was worth it. This was a super low float, a recent IPO. It had light news. So I had every reason to get in. I had to be careful. But usually during pre-market, you can trade these nano floats and do okay because it's not super crowded. There was plenty of volume. I was able to work that one fairly well. And then after that, it just fizzled out. It's been an all-day fader since then. It's almost back where it started from. Do you see that? It's almost all the way back. Right now, well, it did. It went to 302. So it pretty much gave it all back, but it was just a little pump on some news. So that's how that one worked. And that trade only took a couple of minutes, right? It only took about 5 minutes tops. And then I had to wait. I was out of that trade by 5:40. And so my next stock didn't show up until after opening bell. And this was VINE. And here was the first opening bell right at 7:30 my time, opening bell candle. And it halted. And so that's how I was aware of it. And I looked and I saw some news, also what I would consider fairly light news. And I went to my daily chart to see what we had here. During that halt, you have plenty of time. So let me delete my lines, my target lines, so you can kind of get a feel for what I was looking at as well. On this one, now this white line I marked because it was basically the top of this body of this opening candle. See, this is a recent IPO, another one of these white candles visible. And a lot of these IPOs will trade just like this initially, and then they'll get a good pop at some point. But again, I went down to get my target tool, and I did the same thing. I found the body bottom, which also was the 200 EMA, and I clicked there. Then I find a low candle body, which was right here, and then I clicked there, and that put the rest of my lines on here. Okay, so then I go back to my 1 minute chart, and I just wait for, I decide, okay, am I going to get in and ride this thing through this halt when it comes out? Or am I going to just sit on my hands and let it run? Because it had news, it had volatility, a very low float, recent IPO. I knew where it wanted to go, right? I had some lines. I had this line. At the very least, I had this line up here. And then I just was going to play it by ear and see how it was reacting. Okay, so here I did. I did get in on this one. At my first trade was $6.21 was my entry, and it halted again. Where did it halt? I think it halted on this candle, and I thought, well, I think it's gonna move to this next yellow line, and then it halted on this candle. But I decided, since it halted here, I don't like to trade 3 halt candles, so I actually got out on this next move up. Got a really good fill because there were a lot of buyers on that candle. I got out at $7.83, and then just decided to wait and see what it did. Even though the lines continued to point up, I got out, and here we had this big sell down candle, which was fine, and it held support right here. So I thought, well, do I want to trade this one to the next green line, or at least this white line? And I decided I would, and I got in on this one when I saw that it was holding. I got in up here at pretty much where I got out on the previous trade. So I got in at $7.92, and my goal was this white one, this white line at 9.33, and that worked out really well. And then it just started it was overextended, and that brings me to showing you this little indicator. I've used this for years. I just like to show you some of the tools that I will use from time to time. And this one is really helpful in exhaustion. It'll show you exhaustion levels, reversals, turnarounds. It'll also give you entries and exits using these blue bars when they're above the 0 line or below the 0. When they cross going up over above that 0 line, that can be an entry, assuming that it makes sense. Okay, like if it's a downtrend and you don't really want to get in on that, so just understand. But down here is when I'll use something like that. Here it sold down, and we had a pretty good signal right here. A couple of these arrows don't necessarily mean anything to me, but I look at them and I say, well, am I at support? Am I at a reasonable support level? Here it sold below all resistance levels. Okay, it was below everything, but you can scalp. When I'm below VWAP, I look at things as a potential scalp back to VWAP if I'm at a support level. And since this thing was turning around, the little dots were underneath the green line, and they were coming above this dashed line, this green dashed line. And if I have a signal up here, then that tells me, everything's telling me, yeah, this thing's going to go to VWAP probably. Or it's going to go, you can scalp to your different lines, like your 50. And so that's what I decided to do, because I didn't know for sure if it was going to make it all the way to VWAP. Sometimes they don't. So I got in on this one and just said, I'm going to scalp. I got it in at $7.71. And I said, I'm just going to scalp to this blue EMA. This is a 50 EMA. It's a big deal, right? And I got out at right around $8. So, that was a little scalp, 20 cents or whatever it was. And then as you can see, how it reacted to that blue line, it pushed through, and then it said, okay, we got to come down to this 20. That's what this solid blue, it's just dynamic. It goes from red to blue. That's my 20. It's also my stop loss. When I'm trading, getting in below what I use as a stop loss, I have to be really careful, because I don't, that's generally my stop loss. In this case, I'll use this line as my stop loss, and that's worked out okay. I just decided to trade to my target and then see what it's doing. Now we're at the 20. It's saying, okay, I'm at the 20 and the 50. It's probably going to push up to VWAP. So that gave me another entry at $7.96. My goal was VWAP at $8.58. And, it tested it a couple of times. I wasn't able to fill. So I held on because all my lines were holding. It was holding my stop loss fine. And then I did get out finally at my target right there. And at that point, I just decided, it's telling me it doesn't want to get, it tried to get above VWAP here. It didn't. Try to get above VWAP here for a long time. How many candles? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, basically. And it couldn't. So that told me VWAP is resistance, and it's going to take a lot of effort. Maybe if it comes down to this 200 moving average and finds enough buyers to step in, maybe then it will push through VWAP and then go to the next. But I'm not interested in it anymore. I took a couple of good trades on it using, the blue arrow is my initial signal, okay? But I like to come down here and get a feel for what is this telling me? Do I have strength? And and where am I going to go to, right? You got to have an idea of what is your target going to be. Is it going to be a 50? If you're above all your EMAs, then you've got to have these horizontal lines that I drew based on the daily, right? That's these, the green and the yellow and the white, okay? That's how you do it. You've got to have targets. If you're below resistance, you're going to use EMAs and VWAP and stuff like that as your target. But if you're above your VWAP, and all your other resistance lines, you'll use your target lines that you manually draw in there. And they're really easy to get in there just by looking at your daily chart like I showed you. Finding logical points to put these in here, and it'll put the rest of your targets on. But anyway, that's how you have green days, right? You don't just trade because you have a buy signal. You've got to have logic. Is there momentum going up? You're above all your lines, then you're going to go to your targets. If you're below your resistance lines, like below VWAP and below everything, then you're just going to go to your EMA targets, and you can use this thing to help you to understand when is it exhausted. Each of these levels, like this 0 line is actually an important level to watch. This line can be helpful too, this red one, and then this dashed. Okay, those are exhaustion lines. Entries on this thing can be whenever the blue line or the blue bar crosses the 0 line, crosses above it. Also these dots, whenever they cross the green line or touch the green line going to the other side. That's a little trickier. This thing is very, very helpful, but it takes some getting used to. But it is a game changer. When you get really good at using this thing with everything else that I've used on my charts, then this is a big game changer to use this reversal wave oscillator. That's what this is called. I have it opened up pretty wide so that you can kind of get a feel for it. But anyway, that's how my trading went today. I am done for the day. I am not going to trade anymore. Today is a super choppy day. And it's funny because we're getting a lot of these really low float stocks moving, which is fun because you can get your daily goal very, very quickly. Once you're in a trade. Sometimes it takes you hours for the trade to present itself, but if you know how to draw some lines, you understand that, hey, these targets, you see how well my target lines work? This yellow line, do you see how it hit that? And then it went up to this white line, and it was done. Not very many people use the targets the way I do. They don't know how to draw them like this. But do you see how accurate that is for today? It hit that target, and it was done, right? What was the other one? NXTD, GL, NXGL. How did it react to my targets? That yellow line was it, right? And now look what it's doing with these lines. It's finding them as resistance. It hits them and it says, no, we're going down. Here it hits another one, and it wants to come back to it, but it's like, we'll see what it does here. But I'm not interested in it. It's too far below a VWAP. It'll probably at some point run for that VWAP, but for me, it's too far. There were some other stocks that I watched, but today it was just NXGL in pre-market and then VINE after opening bell, and both were very low float. Both had good news, but it was basically light news and reason to move. And it's just a matter from there of planning out your trade with intelligence. Knowing where to put your target lines and understanding what is it you're trying to accomplish. Okay. All right, well, that's all I have for you in this video. I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any questions, if you need any help or guidance, understanding trends and how to draw lines and targets, and if you need a scanner that will get you some stocks that are moving before they've already made the move and are starting to go the other way. If you need any help with anything, I can help you with that for sure. Just reach out to me, and I hope you have a great day. We'll talk soon.